Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are making a blackberry cobbler. I have just enough blackberries, like literally just enough. I actually might be a smidge short, but this is all I have right now. So it's not enough to really worry about canning, turning into jelly or jam or anything like that. But it is enough just to bake with. I would have had a little bit more, but we have been snacking on them pretty heavily. So this is what we are left with. And so today I figured I'm just gonna make a cobbler with them and we'll get to eat that up over the next week. And that'll be kind of it for this year. There are some more coming on the plants back there, but it's not gonna be enough to have a huge harvest all at once to do anything with. So I'll just be baking with them, and then what I do continue to get from them, I'll probably just freeze and use them throughout the year for smoothies and yogurt parfaits. But yeah, so today we're gonna make a cobbler. It's gonna be in a 9x9 dish. It's not gonna be too big. So like I said, I think I'll have just enough blackberries for it. And the first thing I'm going to do is mix the flour and sugar, so I'm gonna go get that. Now this recipe calls for self-rising flour, which is very important. It won't turn out the same if you use all-purpose flour, so just be sure to use self-rising flour. We're gonna preheat the oven to 350 degrees. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is combine 1 cup of sugar with 1 cup of flour. All right, we're just gonna combine those together. All right, and then the next step is to pour in milk and butter. I'm going to go ahead, milk and melted butter. So I'm gonna go ahead and melt the butter first, and then we'll get the milk in here. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is melt the butter. I'm just going to put it in this bowl and pop it in the microwave for a few seconds. It actually has a melt butter option on it, so that is what I will use. All right, we got our melted butter, and the next thing we're going to do is put in the milk. Now the goal is to put in a cup of liquid, but I also want to add within that cup of liquid some vanilla. And so what I'm going to do is fill up the cup to be just under a cup, so that I have just enough room to add about a teaspoon-ish of vanilla. Now that I am editing this, I cannot tell you why I didn't just put the vanilla in first and then fill it with milk. That would have been the much smarter thing to do. So next time, that is definitely what I will do. Put the vanilla in first and then the milk. All right, I dumped just a little bit of milk out. Well, I didn't dump it out. I drank it. But okay, so what I'm going to do is put a teaspoon of vanilla in. And then we will fill it up with our milk. Get a cup. Okay, perfect. It's funny, when I started making videos on YouTube, I envisioned myself mostly making videos being outside and doing outside things. But I forget that this time of year, when there is stuff to harvest, how much time I spend in the kitchen, which I also love. So hopefully you guys enjoy these videos too. My goal was to just share what I'm usually just doing anyways, and not make videos that, are stuff that I want to be doing just for the sake of making content. So this is what I would be doing on a Sunday afternoon anyways. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pour this in. And then next I'm going to stir in the melted butter. I'm just gonna stir until all the liquid is combined very good. Right now it's kind of looking separated, so I'm just gonna keep stirring until it's not separating easily. This is such an easy recipe to make and so good. How can it be bad? Because it has a cup of sugar in it, but I don't make things like this all the time, so it's okay. The last thing I'm going to add is some pumpkin pie spice. Now you could skip this, or you could just add cinnamon, or you could add just a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of allspice, kind of, tweak the flavoring to your like, but this is what I have on hand and this is what I like. So I'm just going to add, gosh, I don't even know how much. I like to just kind of dust it around like as if you were maybe adding salt on something. That's kind of how I add my spices. So that's probably a lot of salt, but that would probably be equivalent to a 1/4 teaspoon. And I'm just going to mix that in. Just like the extra flavor that gives. That with the vanilla and the sugar, so good. And the butter, blackberries, it's a good one. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is pour this into the baking dish. And I'm gonna go ahead and spray that with some cooking spray. You could wipe, actually I do have butter, so I'm just gonna spread some butter in it instead of grease to keep it from sticking. All right, we're just gonna pour this in. You might notice that my batter does still have some clumps in it. It's totally okay. You're really not gonna notice it once it bakes. I'm not quite sure how many blackberries I put in, so I'm going to measure it for you guys before I do so and try to figure out a number to give you. I can tell by looking at this that I have enough, but I'm going to measure it out and see what we actually end up with. That would be about a cup right there. All right, so we'll see where this gets us. And then I do like to take a minute and take my time with putting them in, just so they're nice and consistent. All right, that's a cup, and I'm probably gonna put a few more in that. So I would say it's up to you. I'm gonna do probably about a 1/4. It would be a cup and a 1/4 today. We'll see, maybe we'll get closer to like a 1/2 cup. So if you want more, I would probably do up to like a 1 3/4 cups maybe. If you wanted less, you could have spread these out and totally got away with 1 cup. All right, so I probably got a 1.5 cups in there. I have a couple that are kind of up higher, but that's okay. They'll sink down, the crust will bake up, so those will kind of disappear here in a few minutes anyways, but I'm really happy with that. So now we are going to sprinkle some sugar on top. I just like to sprinkle it on top. Maybe I normally use 2 tablespoons. So that was 2 tablespoons of sugar. I am going to leave it at that. You could definitely do 3 or even 4 tablespoons, but I personally, especially lately, have not been liking things to be too sweet. We're going to pull it out probably 10 minutes before it's done baking, add a little bit more sugar on top so that whenever it comes out of the oven finally, you still get a little bit of that sugary crunch. It won't be all dissolved into the cake. So we'll add a little bit more. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll put this in the oven now. All right, we're gonna go ahead and bake that for 50 minutes. And then, so it's been about 50 minutes since this has been baking. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out and sprinkle some sugar on top and then let it bake for another 10 minutes. So we're just going to pull that out like so. And then sprinkle that on like so. Just under a tablespoon is what I put on top. We'll give that 10 more minutes and then we'll be all set. Actually done baking, so we are going to take that out now. And there we have it. I'm just going to let this sit for a few minutes. I am going to definitely try it while it is still warm, but not just right out of the oven. So I'm gonna let this sit for about 10-15 minutes and then we will cut into it. Time has come to finally cut into this and give it a try. I will get a little spatula to scoop that out. Right now we're just going to loosen it up here. Try to do it without making it fall apart. There we go. That is perfection right there, folks. Let's take a closer look at what we got here. That is perfection. If I had to describe the perfect blackberry cobbler, it would be this. All right, let's dig into this. I cannot wait a second longer. All right, here goes. Oh yeah, that is just the perfect, truly the perfect blackberry cobbler. Oh my gosh, this is so good. That is so good. The only thing that would make this better would be a little bit of vanilla ice cream, but as is, and I'll probably do that later, but as is, this is so good. It is so moist, but you got like the edges that are kind of a little bit of crisp, and the fresh fruit from the garden. So good. Absolutely love. The spices, they give it so much flavor. Highly recommend the pumpkin pie spice, but it's not like too much. And that with the vanilla, it's just so good. So anyhow, I won't make you keep watching me eat this. Thank you so much for joining me for another recipe in the kitchen with some fresh fruit from our garden. If you enjoyed this video and want to stick around, make sure you subscribe. We're going to continue to do this indefinitely. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.